Holy crap, what's going on at Intel? 21,000 workers are being laid off this week, and this is in addition to the 15,000 people that were already cut last August. It's mass chaos at Intel right now, and it's all due to cost-cutting measures by a new CEO. And this is the architect, Lip Bhutan, who is the new CEO of Intel. He's only been there for a month, and he's already completely gutting the workforce. Now, he infamously had a major fallout in the board meetings last year. He's actually sat on the board of directors last year and had a major fallout. He was trying to get them to lean the workforce out at that point in time, and he ended up actually leaving the board. What ended up happening afterward is the previous CEO ended up reducing the workforce by 15,000 people back in August. Somehow he makes it back into the organization as a CEO. His first move is to eliminate 21,000 people. Now, this comes at a time when companies like TSMC and NVIDIA, major chip manufacturers, are doubling down on their manufacturing capabilities. They've announced major investments in infrastructure. Intel has been struggling. They've been struggling to keep up, and this action obviously plays right in line with it. It's not just that, they're also divesting major business units. And this is just a sign of a company that has lost its identity and is clearly in crisis. And I think this has to do with adapting to the more modern AI world. Intel has clearly fallen behind their competitors. And I can only imagine how uncomfortable it must be for Intel workers to go into work today as layoff survivors. That's got to be.
Intel is going to be laying off 20% of their workforce this week, and that comes after laying off 15% of their workforce last year. And y'all, Intel has 108,000 employees, so we're talking about over 20,000 people who will be losing their jobs this week. And their big pivot is going to be towards AI. So you can bet they're going to be hiring people who are either like building AI tools, who really understand machine learning, or who know how to use AI to increase their effectiveness. Now, y'all, I don't want to sugarcoat this, but if you want to be successful in this job market, you're going to need to do a couple of things. One, if you want to be successful, particularly in a tech environment, you need to be using AI. You need to understand how it works. You need to understand how people in your industry are using it, and you need to find ways to use it so that you can get more done with fewer resources. Because if you're not able to do that, they will fire you and replace you with someone who can. And you need to come to terms with the fact that if you live in the United States in 2025, you can't really count on your employer, nor can you count on your government to take care of you. Most countries have those social safety nets. Most countries have more supports in place, so the government steps in if an employer isn't providing for someone. And they have more regulations making it harder for employees to be laid off or fired. That's not the case in the US, and it's only going to get worse under this administration. So make sure that you are always networking. Your LinkedIn and your resume are always ready to go. Apply for jobs regularly so that you can keep a pulse on the market and you're on different people's radar. Build up a personal brand, build up some contract work, things that you can lean on if needed. I don't want to paint a grim picture of things, but this is just the reality, and with the market headed in the direction that it is, it's...
Just tell the American people, though, how long their wallets are going to feel this before things get better.
Yesterday was a great day for our country, and President Trump delivered on a campaign promise that he made to the 80 million American voters who elected him to this highest office, a promise that many presidents before him for decades refused to deliver upon. As for prices and what the American public can expect, they can expect price stability. They can expect to buy American. It's the patriotic thing to do. And most importantly, they can expect their wages to go up. We know that in President Trump's first term, wages went up by $6,500 per person.
This won't be painful at all for American people and consumers, Caroline?
There's not going to be any pain for American-owned companies and American workers because their jobs are going to come back home. And again, as for prices, President Trump is working on tax cuts to put more money back into the pockets of Americans.
I just think it's funny that the morally superior liberals are so quick to be like, Trump's a felon, he's a bad guy, and all these things. Yeah, you know, and they're like, no, felons should be able to vote and do all these things. They're like, unless it's Donald Trump. But George Floyd was apparently an amazing person, so...
Well, George Floyd was brutally murdered by a police officer who was convicted of brutally murdering him. And unfortunately, we saw it all on a cell phone. Otherwise, it would have probably never been reported. I can see you shaking your head there, Destiny. Do you want to say
this
something?
happens all the time. Whenever you debate conservatives, I mean, it's happened here. I've seen it happen in other places. It'll be like, here's the standards for, Republican lawmakers. And then they'll point to like people on Twitter on the other side. Like, well, what about that person? Well, I don't remember voting for George Floyd for president or nominating him for president. The idea that that's your basis of comparison, like, oh, you've got a problem with Donald Trump. Well, what about George Floyd? It's just such a hilariously telling, I think, example.
Well, let me ask you a difficult question.
Well, he was also a criminal that overdosed, but that's another situation.
That still doesn't get him any closer to being nominated for president of the Democratic Party. I don't understand what the comparison is for.
It's just funny to have different standards. You're like, this is fine, but this isn't fine. That's the whole point of that. You don't need to read that deeply into it. It's not that big of a deal.
It's funny to have different. Do you have different standards for different people? Isn't that the point, to have different standards for different people? Like,
yeah.
The point is,
I know, once again, that's a joke. It goes far over liberals' heads.
They put him on murals. They have.
Well, second time in a year, almost a year to the day, I got laid off again. Twice in a year. And, what the fuck? What is anyone supposed to do? And they said, because of the economy is crap right now. So, we're gonna lay off a whole bunch of people again. And I already was struggling so hard, actually low-key, to even keep the current roof over my head. And now I have no idea how I'm even going to get through the next few hours. I just don't understand. But yeah, the economy is shit. America is shit right now. I feel like there's a really big plan for them to, tank this so that we have to rely on other things, other people. It's fucking shit. And I'm quite frankly tired of it. I'm tired of my livelihood being in other people's hands. And I have no idea how to fix that, but I'm going to, because this is just wild. And I'm fucking angry more than I am hurt or sad. I am scared. I have no idea where any of my bills are gonna come from, the money. I'm more angry than anything because I just cannot even believe I used to be able to get a job like the week later if I got laid off. So I have no idea what's gonna happen, and I was really hoping at one point I would make money on TikTok, and I still only have 1,500 followers or whatever. So if you could just blow this up and let's get 10,000 followers plus whatever. Because I might be homeless in a week or two if I can't figure it out. So, yeah, I hope everyone is having a great Tuesday, a way better Tuesday than me. And, if you have any tips, tricks, or whatever to help right now and get me through this, greatly appreciated.
Hey, Intel CEO. I know you're coming in and you're excited about your new job and you're tasked with turning the company around, but please, why is your first line of action to cut heads? Way to go in building trust. First line of action is to cut 12,000 employees. I'm going to give you some top tips that are actually going to help you turn your company around without having to cut heads. You ready? Number 1, freeze hiring. You have about 120,000 employees. Your average salary is probably $100,000 to $150,000. If you freeze hiring, you probably have a 5 to 10% vacancy rate. That's over $1 billion. $1 billion annually if you just freeze hiring. Freeze hiring for a period of time so you can get your ducks in a row. Next up, my favorite topic. Stop forcing everyone to return to office and get rid of your real estate. Millions of dollars. Millions. I did a video a couple weeks ago when I was tasked with cutting heads as a CHRO, and instead of doing that, I took the P&L, flipped it on its head, looked at our largest costs, and found $12 million in a 12-hour period. You can do it too. There are inefficiencies everywhere, from software, from vendor relations, from partners, from absolute waste. You've got different partnerships and vendor relationships with people around the organization. I guarantee you will find millions of dollars. If the HR girl can find millions of dollars in a 12-hour period, I know you can do it. This is my favorite one. Flatten your organization. You have too many layers. Every company at your size does. This actually increases decision-making, improves processes, boosts morale, and quite honestly, just makes everything better. We don't need more leaders. you're making a really, really big mistake by this being your first line of action. You're coming in, cutting heads. You're losing all trust in the organization that you didn't even have yet. But even if they trusted you before you came in, your new organization, 120,000 people, will not drive your business forward in the way that you want them to because you haven't established trust. In